So, I finally brought you guys an art tutorial for once. Who would have thought? Also, who would have thought? So, it's been 4 months since I made the only meaningful video on this channel, although some disagree. And I've been meaning to make another tutorial on drawing something, but I couldn't think of what. What was that? Just make a part 2 for the same tutorial? Okay. Because I don't know how to draw anything else? So that's what we're going to do today, another anime face tutorial for you guys. Like the last one, we're going to draw some random manga panels I found on Pinterest, so let's get into it. Now I must mention, because I got a lot of angry comments last video, I am not Da Vinci. What I'm going to show you guys is a method that worked for me, and compared to other methods out there, it's very simple. It has very much so to do with observation and construction. So yeah, don't take my word as gospel. That being said though, if you're a beginner, you've come to the right place, my friend. So get out your paper or your drawing tablets, or if you're a millionaire, your iPad Pro. Of course, before we start, Discord, 1600 members, art competition, go on, join. Now let's actually get into it. Now to start today's video, we're going to draw a panel from, you guessed it, One Punch Man. Honestly, listen to me guys, if you're going to do some manga studies, One Punch Man. When it comes to manga, these character designs are manga. So just like the last video, we'll start with the good stuff. I found this panel of Garou and thought it'd be perfect because I know how much we struggle with side profiles. Believe me, side profiles only get easier and easier the more you draw them. Alright, just as a refresher, my guidelines are the simplest of the simple. Circle, horizontal line, vertical line. The eyes sit right below the horizontal line we drew. Jaws come down to any places you're choosing, and the chin comes down to a point on the vertical line, however long your face wants to be. Then your head usually extends past the circle. I don't know how I was able to simplify my already extremely simple face guidelines, but there you go. But there it is, just a super quick rundown of how it goes. No Loomis method, no Da Vinci perfect man diagram. Alright, let's start this side profile, shall we? Make a circle. No matter what the head angle is, it's always the same circle. The whole purpose for the circle is to help you envision your head in a 3D environment when you add the lines. For side profiles, we find the angle of the face by looking at the chin, and that's the path your vertical line will follow. Remember, it always comes off the circle. Your horizontal line goes 1/3 up the circle, almost always. Don't get too used to it. You see where these lines intersect? That's where the bridge of the nose tends to come down from. So looking at the reference, we see how close the eye is to the bridge of the nose. So let's add it here, right below the horizontal line, angled downward, like in the reference. In tarot tip of the day, this is important, so listen up. When you're trying to find where to place something on your character's face while copying a reference, you should always have 2 reference points to help you find where to put it. For example, with the eyes, I use my horizontal line in the bridge of his non-existent yet nose. Instead of using just say the chin in this drawing to place the mouth, find where it sits in relation to the jawbone. Now you have an XY axis algebra master method to help you place facial features. If you didn't get a word I just said, don't worry, there's a lot more examples in the video. We have our soon-to-be eye laid down, and what I always do next is the nose. We come down from where the guidelines intersect and just look at the reference to see how far we come down. Don't worry about the curve yet, we're sticking to PlayStation 2 geometry for now. From the tip of the nose, we come down to where we want to put the chin. Garou has quite the chin, so the line we extend from the chin to form the jawbone ends around here if you look at the eyes. If not using a reference, my general rule of thumb is to come up to the circle, or even more effective is to just wing it. Change it later, cause trust me, no matter how good you think you got it, it's always in the wrong spot. Draw's ear. Ears usually end right at the horizontal line, depending on the head angle you're drawing. I'll show you what I mean in our next drawing. I'm starting with the hair here, and like I stated before, the hair, even just the skull, doesn't really follow the circle. Now Garou's got the paperclip and the electrical outlet hairstyle, so we'll bring it all the way over here. Notice here I changed the width of his neck. His neck starts about where the corner of his ear is, and is of course parallel to the front of his neck. Now it's time to make this mess look a little more like the reference. We'll fix the curvature of his nose and add his comically small lips to the straight line we drew earlier. Here we're fixing his eye a bit, making sure to follow the same angles as the one in the reference. This will change later on because yeah, we are not the same. Notice how far his eyebrows go up the forehead. Again, it's all just observing, looking at where what sits where in relation to other things that be sitting. Now for the ears are very easy. Now this is what I love about drawing in an anime style. All you have to remember to draw when constructing an ear is the ridge of the ear. Literally draw a line around the edge. And the concha. That's it. If you add these to your ear, you've won. Now it's time to forget about all guidelines and freehand his shoulders and back. Very helpful, I know. All this took was constantly shifting my eyes from reference to drawing, pan out a bit. see how you're doing. And guess who isn't gonna draw his hand today? You. And me. Now we have our whole drawing constructed and it's time to add the finishing touches. Define your lines, block out where you want to shade, hatch. Sometimes when you do hatching for shading it looks really bad, but believe me, when you finish all the hatching your drawing will look fine. And finish. I know I didn't explain the last 2 minutes of the drawings, the details, but hey, I really don't know how to explain it, since I was just copying. Really, just reference the reference. Alright, next drawing. For this one, we'll draw this panel of Yuuta. The JJK manga has great faces to reference from, and the way Gigi draws hands is one of my favorites in manga. Like the last video, the drawing we just did was very in-depth, but for this one it'll just be a quick rundown of what I was thinking as I was drawing and how I approached certain problems with my proportions and overall accuracy of the drawing. Again, these aren't one-to-one, so don't gang up on me in my comments, please. Now, the good news is I'll actually show you guys how I draw hands for this one. So, yay. First off, circle. At a 3/4 angle, we put the vertical line the width of his right eye from the edge of the circle. You'll see what I mean. Now if you look at this eye line, you'll notice it angles down slightly, so angle yours slightly. Add the right eye under the eye line, and instead of the other eye, we'll start with the face shape. Depending on the length of the chin, you'll come down to the cheekbone, then angle inwards and bring a line all the way to the center face line. There's your chin. Add this eye about an eye length away from the opposite one, and there you go. He met Mr. Beast. The nose comes down from his right eye, and as you can see in the reference, it doesn't quite meet his cheekbone. Let's bring the jawline east a little ways and add a neck. For the forehead, remember, this is still his eye socket, and this is his forehead. Bring it up to the hairline and then start blocking out the hair. Again, just eyeball the hair here. I do have a more detailed description on how I place hair in this video here. Notice how, as I said in the last drawing, the bottom of his ear almost meets the circle? It doesn't always touch it, but circles are a good marker for where to start the ear. Anyways, the eye comes past the eye line, as his face is still pretty level at this angle. And then again, we block out the hair. Now his mouth. He's got the neuron activation face here, so just add a small triangle 2/3 from the chin to the nose. And now this is looking like Yuuta. No head you ever draw will be completely in line with the circle. Otherwise it'll look like this. So bring the hair outside the circle, please. This man has a cranium. For his clothes, just eyeball. Again, I'm sorry friends, we'll just have to make an anatomy video sometime. Stay tuned. Okay, now we get into the hands. How I like to draw hands is to make a square with a tapered end. A weird trapezoid. This comes from the wrists all the way to the knuckles. Now, all your fingers except the thumbs have 3 knuckles, so make 3 segments from the knuckle. With this hand in particular, we only see one of those segments in each finger, so I just draw circles to mark where the second knuckle will be and draw to that. Hand finished-ish. Now we're touching up the clothes here, adding in the buttons, just more lines. Now let's add his forearm. This line here is to add definition to his muscle. Then with this hand, just start with shapes. The katana is always fun to draw because, look, more shapes, rectangles on rectangles. Now the wrap on the katana's handle is thick, so for each wrap we're going to add little humps as we move down the handle. Add diamonds starting at the end of each hump and the pommel, and there's your sword. Now that we have the basic shape, it's time for details. Again, I don't really know what to add from here on, it's just looking at the reference and tweaking. Use your reference. Once I have every important feature and shape lined out, it's hard to mess up on the tweaking stage. For the hair, I just filled it with black and used a hard eraser to create lighting. I don't know what this is called. In a previous video, I remember telling you guys that the pupils are extremely important when making a proportional face. Even the smallest relocation of the pupil can really change how your face looks. So be sure to spend some time looking at this. And that's it. Again, not perfect. In fact, looking back, his eyes were a little small, but hey, this is good. We were able to capture his pose and his expression. Good job. And there you go. We did it. You did it. Again, this isn't some super advanced sealed away in manuscripts type of drawing method. It's as simple as it gets. My biggest suggestion to up-and-coming artists out there is to work on observation skills. One thing that I think helped me was when I started drawing faces, I drew without guidelines. Not only that, I drew faces way out of my comfort zone, meaning face angles. Like these were drawings I'd be way too scared to draw now. Just practice, practice, and practice some more. You're gonna hate it at times, but just stick to it and maybe you'll be as awesome as me. Can't aim too high. Like and subscribe and wait 3 months for my next installment.